guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 7, the INE ending. Please take a second to gather your materials. You should have your purple book open to page 47. You'll also need some colorful pens, markers, crayons, whatever you can find. Remember, whatever I mark up on my board, you should be marking on your paper. If you don't have space for a key, go ahead and jot it down on another sheet of paper. If at any point I'm moving too fast, please pause the video and catch up. All right, so this week we are starting a study of common endings. This week we're talking about INE. Now, often you can figure out the part of speech of a word just by looking at its ending. So for instance, tion, shun, is a common ending for nouns. IVE, iv, is a common ending for adjectives. Unfortunately, there's no pattern for INE. Sometimes it shows up at the end of a verb like determine or examine. Sometimes it shows up at the end of a noun like doctrine or famine. And sometimes it shows up at the end of a describing word, an adjective like feminine or genuine. But that's okay, we're fine with that. So before we start marking up our words though, let's make sure we can pronounce all of them. Please repeat after me. Determine, discipline, doctrine, engine, examine, famine, feminine, gasoline, genuine, heroine, imagine, intestines, machine, magazine, marine, masculine, medicine, ravine, routine, and saline. You probably noticed that INE has two different sounds. Sometimes it says in, like in determine, and sometimes it says een, like machine. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, let's do what we always do and break our words into syllables, starting with determine. We'll slice it after the E and after the R. Discipline. After the S, discipline, and after the I. Doctrine. After the C. Engine. After the N. Examine. After the X and after the M. Famine. After the M. Feminine. After the M and the I. Gasoline. After the S and the O. Genuine. After the N and the U. Heroine. After the R and the O. Imagine. After the M and after the G. Imagine. Intestines. After the N and after the S. Machine. After the A. Magazine. After the G and the A. Marine. I'm going to slice that after the R. Marine. I guess we could do it after the A. Masculine after the S and the U. Medicine after the D and the I. Ravine after the A. Routine after the U. And saline after the A. Purple vertical line equals syllable break. Okay, next I want to take another marker and I want to check off my stressed syllables. Remember, the stressed syllable is the part of the word that we say a little bit stronger, a little bit louder. So in determine, it's the second syllable. Discipline, first syllable. doctrine, first syllable. Engine, first syllable. Examine, second. Famine, first. Feminine, first. Gasoline, the last syllable. Genuine, first. Heroine, first. Imagine, second. Intestines, second. Machine, last syllable. Magazine, last syllable. Marine, last syllable. Masculine, first. Medicine, first. Ravine, last. Routine, last. And saline, first. Did you notice any patterns there? Did you notice, for instance, that when the INE syllable is unstressed, it says in? Let's prove that. Choose another color. Determine, discipline, doctrine, engine, examine, famine. Notice none of the syllables I'm boxing in are stressed. Feminine, genuine, heroine. Yes, I skipped gasoline. Imagine, intestine, skip machine, skip magazine, marine, masculine, medicine, skip ravine, routine, and saline. In all of these words, it takes on a short I sound. You could say it almost sounds like an right? A schwa. Short I or schwa. Would make sense, right? Because we know in unstressed syllables that everything kind of morphs into that sound. Determine, discipline. So it kind of is an sound or short I. Doesn't really matter. But check this out. When we stress the INE syllable in words like gasoline, machine, magazine, marine, ravine, and routine, it has a whole new sound. It makes a long E sound. And then, of course, there has to be a rule breaker in every example, right? So in saline, even though we stress the first syllable, it's still going to make an E sound. So in all of these examples, we have a long E sound, right? Gasoline, machine, magazine, marine, ravine. Interesting, I think. Okay, so yes, we still have lots of other schwas that we have to worry about. The I in discipline, the I in feminine. I'm not going to make you guys mark that up. Just know that it's something to watch for, and that's going to be the tricky part of the spelling this week. You're going to do great with the endings because every single word, regardless of how it's pronounced, is going to end with INE. So I know that's not going to be a problem for you guys. Okay, when you get to page 50, you have some new roots to talk about or learn about. So this week's focus is all about water. So anytime you see a word that starts with AQU, you know it's going to come from the Latin root for water. Anytime, so for instance, aqua, aquamarine, aquarium, aqueduct, those all have to do with water. Anytime you see something that starts with HYDR, that is the Greek root for water, right? So hydrated, dehydrated. You'll see others, okay? And then the third root you're going to learn about this week is MAR. So these have to do with water, but MAR specifically has to do with the C. Now, if you look through your list this week, we don't have any words with AQU or HYDR, but right here we have MAR. Marine, right? Think about the Marines. They train to work on the water, right? Marine animals are animals that come from the sea, right? So you go to an aquarium to see the marine animals, the sea otters and the walruses and the seals. So right here, back in your key, I want you to write red box equals root. The root we're focusing on this week is MAR, which means sea. Think of a submarine. It goes under the sea, okay? A marina is a place where we dock our boats to keep them safe away from the open sea. So just notice that this week. And then the last thing I want to talk about with you today is the vocab, because once again, we have tons of great words here. You should know what they mean. So to determine something, you've heard that before. It just means to decide. You make a decision. Discipline can be used as a noun or a verb. Your parents discipline you because they're trying to instill you with discipline, which is self-control. So for instance, I don't have a lot of discipline around cookies. If you bring me chocolate chip cookies, I'm going to eat them, even if I'm already full. Even if I know that I should be watching my weight, I don't have the discipline. I don't have the self-control when it comes to cookies. All right, doctrine is a statement of beliefs or policies. So churches and religious groups come out with their doctrines. This is the church doctrine. This is what we believe. Governments also come out with doctrines, especially when they're talking about how they're going to handle relationships with other countries. Here's our doctrine that deals with trade, or that deals with, I don't know, other stuff. An engine is a motor, right? A bicycle does not have an engine. A motorcycle does have an engine. To examine something is to check it over. So when you go to the doctor for your physical, she's going to examine you and make sure everything's working correctly. Famine is a lack of, like an extreme lack of food. So when you study history or learn about the world, you will find that there are certain groups at certain times in history that starved because they didn't have enough food. So for instance, the potato famine in Ireland, right? There were millions of people starving because the potato crops failed and they just didn't have enough food to feed the people. Feminine has to do with anything female. So if it's like a dress would be a type of feminine clothing, right? Because it's typically associated with women. So feminine means having to do with females, and I'm just going to jump to here because masculine means having to do with males. Okay? Some countries, some languages actually have feminine and masculine words. But we also hear this when we're talking about feminine products for women, feminine styles of clothing, masculine styles of clothing, that sort of thing. Gasoline, something you put in your car. Genuine means real, not fake. Right? So if somebody does something mean and then they apologize to us, we're probably only going to accept their apology if it seems genuine, right? If they're like, sorry, then that doesn't seem like a genuine, a real apology. Heroine is a female hero. Okay, another word for a hero. Imagine means to use your mind. Intestines, those are tubes in your stomach. They're part of your digestive system. So after your food goes through your esophagus and into your stomach, then it has to pass through your small and large intestines. You know what a machine is, you know what a magazine is, right? Something you read. It's got articles, it comes out weekly or monthly. Marine, like I said, means of the sea. So marine animals are animals that come from the sea or the ocean. We talked about this. Medicine, I bet you know, right? Something you take when you're sick. And then a ravine is a steep, narrow valley. Usually it's caused by water. Over time, water kind of carves a ravine inside the rock. A routine, that's something you do each day, right? Getting up, eating your breakfast, brushing your teeth, making your bed, those are all part of your routine. And then the last word, saline, means salty. So if you wear contacts, you might rinse them with a saline solution. It's actually salt water that cleans them. All right, that's a lot of information, but I know you guys have this, you've got this. Good luck, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.